There's like two buttons. One said bring them on and one said live. There it is right there. Cool. Yes. There it is. Hey, Shane.
There we go. Always good, hey, good to see you, Zach.
You too. You too. Cool, man. Cool. I was just telling everybody that I was giving you an introduction before you were in here. Unfortunately, I pressed the wrong button and it drummed me on, but glad you made it. So this is Shane Bugbee, and he was the last person to interview Anton LaVey, and the last person to be appointed a priest by Anton LaVey. Is that right, Shane?
That's true. That's
Excellent.
true.
You also have a book out, right? Was it called about the temple or Satanic Temple?
The founding of the Satanic Temple, their secrets revealed.
Awesome. Because aren't you the founder of the Satanic Temple?
Well, Doug and I worked on that for that kind of idea went back and forth for a decade before it happened.
Oh, wow. That long. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Doug and myself, he worked with me. He was my protege for about 10 years.
Right on.
So, we did a lot of work together. It's, yeah. And the whole thing started off as what I thought was what we were doing was a publicity stunt and just something fun for like a mockumentary. So I wasn't too keen on creating a religion. I'm sort of anti-religion.
So you probably didn't expect it to take off as big as it did, huh? And become like pretty much like the probably most popular, well-known satanic organization at this point.
I don't think. Well, there's two questions there, two statements. I don't know if you ever know things are going to take off. Like your 30 hits of acid, you didn't know that video was going to take off. I would imagine.
Right. I had no idea. Right.
Yeah. So you really don't know that that's going to happen when you're doing projects. I've been over 30 years of doing stuff. I've had a handful of things take off or be viral or be big or make international headlines, and you just don't know. You just keep throwing videos at it, and then all of a sudden you have a 30 hits of acid one.
Right.
So you don't know. But I always, when I get into it, I have that dream. Like, this is going to be it. This is going to be so big. It's going to move mountains. It's going to change the world. So I have that in a lot of things I do, that grandiosity. And you said something about it, the biggest well-known thing. I don't know if it gets more well-known than Anton LaVey.
Well, that's true. I was thinking about like comparing like organizations like the Church of Satan to the Satanic Temple. I mean,
right, but it all goes back to Anton. That's what I'm saying. Like it's weird. Out of all those years I worked with that stuff, there's been a handful of people that have tried to get at him, like the Temple of Set, let's say, and it just went back to him. Like people, once a journalist start doing something, they're like, well, Anton LaVey. So he's like he became like a name, almost a household name at this point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, no argument here. I mean, Anton LaVey is definitely the godfather of Satanism. So it's like all the roots will trace back to him eventually. What do you think about the Satanic Temple? What's the book about inside the Satanic Temple? What do you talk about in it?
Well, it's about unraveling the bullshit that they put forward as the creation myth. And, I think that in and of itself should let people know that they're a bunch of liars, because they said something different than what it is. And so it just brings back, it brings back stuff. It brings back to Anton LaVey, but it paints Doogie or Doug or Lucian as someone that most people don't see him as. And he's a person who wanted control, and he wanted to control people. I think there's a quote in there somewhere. I know there's a quote in there somewhere that it says, so he says something like, we can get people to do our violence for us. The most successful people get others to do their violence. And it was at that point I was like, yeah, I really don't want to get people to do anything. I want to get people to leave me alone, maybe, but I'm not looking to, that's not my world, my worldview, is to get people to do things for me. I don't like that.
It kind of sounds like something I read from the Process Church or something like that.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Well, okay. Huh.
Well, absolutely. Doug was very influenced by the Process Church. The entire time I worked with him, he was obsessed with the Process Church. Okay. And their psychological programming and manipulation. And he went to school for stuff like that. So he's always had a bigger picture of how to control people, how to get people to dance for him. And I don't think that's so hard. I'm a marketeer. I'm really good at huckster stuff, marketing. And I don't think it's that hard to get people to move. My favorite black magic magician would be Edward Bernays. And he's the person who created the idea of propaganda. He's a Freud's nephew. And he used Freud's psychology to manipulate people to buy cigarettes, to buy liquor, to buy spaghetti in a can, SpaghettiOs. He understood. His idea was people need to be controlled. People want to be controlled, and he understood how to do it in a real sexy way. Let's say with colors, with sexploitation, stuff like that. So I like Edward Bernays. Claudia Berdella is in your chat, and Claudia helped with the book immensely. And Claudia helped out when they were 16 years old. They came to me and were asking questions, and I didn't know they were 16 at the time. It unfolded publicly, and then I was fine still working with them because it was about something they could find in the library, so I don't have a problem with it. It wasn't adult material, let's say. But Claudia has they are putting down a ton of information down there. I keep pointing down to the chat there.
Hopefully when they post the video, it'll show the chat underneath. Otherwise we'll just look like we're pointing to our genitals, but
Are you saving this video?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good. Good. It made me do that anyway.
You're like the command to look and talking about programming. It reminds me of like Vance Packard for the Hidden Persuaders and stuff. You know what you were talking about. Command to look and stuff. Yeah, man, that's cool. That's cool, man. So you have a lot of interviews in the book too, right? We didn't get to talk too much about it when I saw you, but yeah, I remember you saying you had some interviews. I
wish I would have grabbed the book. It's in the other room. Yeah. I have like all of these people have worked for me, and that's the thing. When I did the book, I was like, wow, I really got something because I'm the only one who spoke to all of these people. Like there's journalists there's a book, a biography on Anton LaVey coming out in the next few months or next few weeks. And there was one that just came out about Boyd Rice being a neo-Nazi and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of people coming forward asking me questions. And the reason they ask them, they're like, hey, can I use this Carl LaVey interview you have? Can I use this part of the Anton LaVey interview? And they ask if they can use it. And what I found is I'm the only person who spoke with all of the LaVeys. I spoke with all of the people in the Church of Satan that took over. I spoke with all of the people in the Process Church. So I'm the only one that's spoke with all of them. Like Peter, Stanton, Doug, Carla, Anton, Blanche, Peggy, fucking that Kevin Dork from the Satanic Temple, all of them. And so, that's what's in the book. There's not one journalist alive that's done that. And I don't think there's anyone that can do that because especially with the LaVeys, and all of them are real finicky motherfuckers. They're really hard to actually talk to. Peter's hard to get an interview with. He's real finicky. And I know Peter's guarded. He doesn't do interviews with people who are against him.
Right.
What?
Why would he? There's nothing in it for him.
I think why would you not? I'm okay with it. I don't know. I didn't know when you did this. I'm like, maybe Zach is going to attack me. I thought you were a cool guy when I met you in LA, and I thought you were genuine. And I looking at your videos, you seem to be a real genuine, cool person, an artist, and a journalist. And so I was intrigued to do it, but I also am guarded. I'm like, this guy can hit me with anything, but I'm not afraid of that. And I don't know what Peter's afraid of, actually. When you're a public figure, so what? Go after him. That guarded shit, that's what Anton did. And in his day, it was different. What he did, I don't think what they did in the 50s, why would I do it in 2000? I don't know why I would, So, and now with bots and all that shit, this stuff can be made into anything they want.
That's true. That's cool, man. How'd you go about meeting Anton LaVey?
What?
When did you meet him?
Oh, wow. Those years, Zach, I've lived a wild life much like yourself.
Okay. Okay.
It's a blur.
In the 90s or?
Yeah, right before he passed away, the last couple of years of his life, I knew him, and I earned it. You know, I just like earned it because I'd done so much. I do so much. I still am productive. So I published a ton of stuff and was, very well known in the underground. And so a Nazi gave me the book Might Is Right, a literal Nazi. Today, everyone's a fucking Nazi. The word means nothing. But a literal fucking Nazi. Like did Resistance Magazine, George Eric Hawthorne, did the band Rahowo, Racial Holy War. He came to me and he wanted to take out an ad in the Milwaukee Metal Fest book. And I was like, I don't know if I should do this. And anyway, the Jewish person and the black person that were working on the book with me said, you should do it. So I did. All the white people said, don't do it. So it was real weird. That was weird in and of itself. Anyway, I took the book and I'm reading it. At the same time, some other character gives me the Satanic Bible, and I had sold a bunch of them out of my gallery, but I'd never really read. I flipped through it and I was like, yeah, this is just common sense, whatever, And I took it as that. I was just like, this is cool, but it's big. It's common. It was common sense to me as I get it, And then I found I was starting to read these books at the same time. It was just a fluke. And I was like, to the person who gave me the book, I was like, this is the same book. And anyway, then I was like, as a publisher, I'm like, I'm exploiting this. I'm fucking totally running with this thing. And I wrote Anton LaVey and threatened him. And Carla will tell you in the interview, she says like, she's like, how did I get an interview with her? I threatened her. And I threatened Anton. I said, I'll expose this anyway. I'm going to tell people that this is where you got your Church of Satan from Might Is Right. So you can explain yourself in the introduction of the book, or I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to put it out in ads everywhere. I'm going to advertise this around the world. I'm going to market this book, Might Is Right, around the globe, dude. I really found this book to be real interesting. And at the time, I found it to be an ultimate truth. I was like, yes, this is the way the world works. I don't necessarily believe that today. I don't not believe it either. I think Might Is Right. It has a lot of hard truths in there, but a lot of it's been disproven via science and other things. And so, anyway, that's how I came about meeting them, and it was real cool. It's been an amazing ride, dude.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's been extreme. It's been extreme. Like there's an extreme pushback to Anton's philosophy and his people. Like I'm part of the last guard, so you could say like I'm one of his apostles. The last guard is who carries forward his. We don't all agree on what he said, but we all were given the authority to not interpret it, but represent it with authority. So when people speak of Satanism today, where does their authority come from? Doug's comes from me and Peter. I asked Peter to let him be a member of the Church of Satan. And that's how you got in the old days. You had to know someone. Everyone joined, everyone sent their money and filled out an application. But until you had someone go, yeah, this guy's cool, you didn't get in. It was like a real deal like that. And so I got dug into the Church of Satan. He was a proud member for a long time. And so we're the ones that Anton gave authority to speak for this church, for Satanism, for his book. So Kevin has no authority to speak on this. He's pretending. And most of these people that work with the Satan, I would say all of them, unless they're from Anton's world, that are speaking for the Satanic Temple have zero authority. They just they're making it up as they go along. And that's might be cool too. I hear them and I don't really hear anything cool come. I wish I heard something great. I was like, I would totally love to hear something great come out of someone from the Satanic Temple, like something where I would see on TV. I'm like, wow, that's fucking great. That is fucking groundbreaking. That is a way to say it, man. But all Doug talks about is the 0-1 dynamic, the Christian Satan stuff on TV, and he talks about politics. He talks about the status quo stuff. We're not about that. I would think about, and I hate this motherfucker, Boyd Rice. But think about what Boyd does. Think about what is he going to go up? When he would do TV, he'd do it with a rape fucking shirt. Rape. He'd go on TV, and he'd go on TV where no one wants him on TV. They're like, yeah, please don't come on. That guy's going to do anything goes day. That's right. Anything goes when we get on. So it's like, who wants to participate in talking about the status quo when you're a Satanist? You should be ashamed of yourself, actually. You
Well, it's like
know,
with the Satanic Temple, I saw it like when I got involved, but I saw it like it just spun out into this like weird LGBT thing, and it just kept blowing up in like abortion clinics, and I'm like, what, what does all this have to do with Satanism, really? I mean, great, support the LGBT, great, so do most of us, but whatever. It's like you kind of muddying the waters here and making people think this is part of an LGBT movement when it's not. It's Satanism.
but yes, I would say, when I looked over your thing, when I was like, who's Zach Black? Then I saw the 30 Hits Facet thing. I said, there you go. Go talk about that on TV. Yeah. There's a story. There's something that is like not talking about. And I wouldn't say that the Church of Satan or Anton LaVey was very pro LGBTQ. Okay. He was very pro all of that. He was very pro people expressing themselves. So with that authority that he gave me, I would say he's very pro trans, all that. He was very much cool with doing what you wanted. In as far as expression goes, Anton was an artist. Anton was a fry cook. You should relate to that. I hear you're a sushi chef, or you work as a chef. I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything, but someone said Zach makes great sushi rolls. Someone wrote me that, and he's good with that. Hit the knife in the kitchen and stuff. Is that true?
Yeah. I haven't worked sushi for several years, but yeah, I am a fully trained chef. I did that for about a decade.
That's what Anton did. You're doing exactly what Anton LaVey did when he was synthesizing Satanism. When he was a fry cook at a diner, and he'd look over the counter and listen to people and talk to them and make their eggs and give them their sausage. And he's talking to these people. He's like, that's where he came up with the salad dressing test. That's why it's brilliant, actually. These motherfuckers over the TSA make fun of him because they're Ivy League assholes that make fun of anyone who serves them coffee. They look down on anyone who serves them coffee or a sushi roll because they're a bunch of privileged bitches, And so Anton LaVey was a working class dude, and he was very cool with human sexuality in all forms, in all perversions. He just understood.
When I mentioned the LGBT thing, I was referring to the Satanic Temple, like
right. I get that. You're right. Okay. I get what I'm just making sure that I spoke about that sexuality part, but okay. You're right about the Satanic Temple. They're very political, where Satanism isn't political.
Right. It's kind of confusing to me. It's like, what, I mean, I got the monument thing, the whole Baphomet monument. I got that part. Like, okay, yeah, force the, separation of church and state, get the Ten Commandments taken down. But then it's just like, after that, everything just got kind of silly. It seemed like the after school programs for kids and stuff. It's just like,
what it serves as is a glorified law firm. Kevin and them they're lawyers at Harvard, so they're looking to get onto big cases, to do civil, to sue the state of Arkansas for millions of dollars. They're looking to do stuff like that. So they created an entity that could be discriminated against. Gotcha. And I testified against them with the Arkansas statute. Like, I went and worked with the right-wing Christians on that. I was fine to do that. Because Anton wasn't Anton wouldn't want a monument to himself made. Like when the Black House was going to be lost, when he passed away, there was an idea that we were going to save it. We were going to all make sure it got saved. We're going to get the money together and save the Black House. And when that started to happen, all of the now these are the old guard. I'm the last of the old guard. Okay, so I was the youngest. And it was sort of funny. I was just paying attention. I was just watching all these old timers go at it, and I was learning. And they were like vehement. Most of the old school people were like, Anton would not want this. He does not want to be that. That's not what this is about. He didn't want to be remembered like he wanted. His only thing he needed remembered is his book and his philosophy. He didn't want a house to stand there, a rock, a tombstone. He didn't want any of that shit. So when you're talking about putting up these monuments, you're talking about creating a 0-1 dynamic, Christian fighting Satanists. And he didn't do that. He was like, when I'd do stunts like this, like, I'm going to burn a Bible on TV. And he's like, but we don't pay attention to them. We don't care. We don't care. Why would anyone that represents me burn a Bible? We don't care about the Bible. We care about pussy. We care about sushi rolls. We care about burritos. We care about living life. We care about walking around the park today with our dog. and watching the squirrels run up the tree. That's what we care about. We care about right now and the joy we're having right now, and how to keep away from garbage and garbage people. And so that's what came to me when I would try to do stunts. Like, I'm like, I want to burn the Bible. And he's like, yeah, that's because you were brought up a Catholic. You know, it's predictable. Actually, it's boring. And I was like, well, I don't want to be fucking boring. You know, I don't want to be tickled. That's why when I went to therapy, the first thing that bothered me about going to therapy and stuff was like how typical I was as a human being, you know, depression, shit like that. And I'm like, I'm not typical. So when Anton posed it like that, like, you know, it's just boring and typical. Of course you're going to burn a Bible. You were brought up a Catholic, you know, boring. What can you do that's not boring?
Right. That's funny. When you mentioned trying to raise money for the Black House, I remember I had just joined the Church of Satan in '94. So when I turned 18, and I got a letter in the mail from Blanche Barton after LaVey passed, asking for donations to save the Black House.
There you go. So you carry your age well, Zach. How old are you?
I'll be 48 in 2 days.
Well, we're not that far apart. Okay. Well, you know, listen, you hit 50, it's different. And when you hit 55, it's different. You know, shit starts to smell different, sag different. It's like, what in the fuck? You downhill slide is what I'm saying, bro. But anyway, yeah, you remember, that's exactly when all that was happening. We were starting to get, I remember I was working on the CD project. I was talking to Marilyn Manson and other people about putting songs on a CD to raise money for that. So we were working at that. You're right. We were working at that. And then it was a big hullabaloo, whatever hullabaloo means. I don't know. Anton's taking over, it's possessing me. I'm using words from the 30s. It was a hullabaloo.
I don't even know what a hullabaloo is.
me neither. It might be racist for all I know. I don't want anyone give me grief. I don't know where hullabaloo is. I don't know where it came from. Give me a break. I'm old. But yeah, that you remember. There you go. Wow, you remember the Church of Satan. So that's cool.
Yeah. And then I sent him $100. You know, this is '97. I was delivering pizzas, so $100 was a decent chunk of change for me. You know, and
I do.
But then they sent it back. She sent it back and said, "Sorry, it's too late." She sent the check back to me. I heard Blanche, yeah, I heard Blanche lives like here where I live in San Diego, somewhere down here, like on the beach down here somewhere.
Could be.
That's what
I've been to her house. I've been to her house.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't tell anyone where you live, but that's a Chicago thing.
Okay.
You know, you get killed for telling, you know, in Chicago, we don't like information. We don't want information. We don't give information. We don't know who he is. Why in the fuck you asking me where he is? Who the fuck are you asking me where she lives? You know, that's how that would go in Chicago. Like, the fuck is this? This motherfucker's an op. He's asking for addresses.
Right. Is he a cop or what?
Or something. You might have the guns out. You might be looking to tap someone, you know? So it's like,
that's true.
We don't talk in Chicago like that. Gotcha. So that's not, you know, but Blanche out of everyone in the COS right now, of the old, you know, I appreciate Blanche. I don't like Peter. You know, but Peter's a real smart guy. He can definitely talk about Satanism, but he comes from a different socioeconomic situation than us, than you. I'm a working class. I come from plumber stock. Okay. So we come from blue collar. I don't know where you come from, but as a chef and a kitchen person, you're blue collar. You're hardworking. That's a hard gig. And so Peter comes from somewhere else. He comes from money. Gotcha. And so he represents that class while he's running things. He's a different kind of guy. Anton was a lowbrow artist. You know, so I don't consider Peter an artist. I consider him a trained musician.
Okay.
But in the book, you asked in the book, who's in the book? Peter Gilmore's in the book. He wrote something. Doug, there's an interview Doug did with me that's never been published. Right before we had our love affair breakup. There's stuff that everyone that Anton wrote for me. You know, there's stuff from everyone. There's Stanton's last interview, Carla's last. Now Carla's still alive. She just made a point to keep saying this will be the last time I do an interview. So that's why I say it's her last interview. So I imagine that, Zach. I got Anton's last interview, Stanton's last interview, Carla's last interview. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And it was a mistake. I just fell into it.
You get to meet Zena?
Zena and me never had a great relationship. I met her early on before I was even a member of the Church of Satan out in San Francisco at art parties. I would meet her and say hi to her, and like a kid, like, hey, I'm into Satanism. I know Marilyn Manson's, some stupid shit like that. But
Sure.
we never got into a deep conversation, and we don't have a rich relationship. Like me and Carla have a very rich relationship. Stanton, me and him had a decent. We had a rich relationship. I would say. I wouldn't say it was decent, but it was all over the place. We went to war. We wanted to kill each other. I'll tell you, I was with Stanton, motherfucking dickhead. Yeah, we got to go do this. I got to go to his friend's house. He goes and fucking rips off an acid dealer. It's like, we just drink. He's like, the guy loads up his trunk with all this shit, and Stanton gives him a bunch of like posters, signed posters, Anton LaVey artifacts like that, and gives him a big bunch of drugs and all this shit and a bunch of acid. Stanton takes all these gel tabs, fucking tripping his face off. And he's like, I'm too fucked up. And I'm like, I'll drive, because I have responsibility to the responsible, right, baby? I stay sober in these situations because I want to live. and in order to stab someone, you got to be sober. To win the knife fight, you got to be sober. So it brings me this drug den, drug dealers, fucking barbed wire fence around the guy's yard, shotguns everywhere. And he's like, just drive away. I go, the guy said he's going to come be right out. He goes, yeah, just drive, go. So, and I'm so pissed off about it. I'm like, dude, what in the fuck, dude? Why would you bring me into this dangerous situation without telling me? But there's Stanton for you.
Wow. Sounds pretty gangsta, kind of thuggish. I mean, that's kind of, yeah, I didn't know him personally. So I heard that his reputation precedes him, though. I've heard of his.
His reputation is, but the one thing about his reputation he doesn't get credit for that he was a smart. I knew Stanton for decades, so I always say he's a smart young man.
Okay.
But I knew him when he was running the Odium and stuff like that, and we had run-ins throughout the decades here and there. Stanton was a very smart person. He never gets credit for that because he always presented himself as thuggish. Mm-hmm. Stanton was very well read. All of the LaVeys are very well read. They're all intellectuals. They read books constantly. They're constantly studying. They're super fucking smart. They're intellectuals. They're the avant-garde. They're intellectuals and they're really smart. So Stanton was that, and Stanton had a big heart. Big heart. Yeah. So Stanton was a real cool guy, but the other stuff, he was also a real vicious guy.
Okay.
And yeah, it was thuggish, but I'm okay with a lot of that stuff. I've had my problems when I was a younger kid.
It's part of life, it's part of life's experience.
Yeah, I used to kick down apartment doors and help people steal shit. So it's like a Chicago thing, maybe. I totally oppose that, but you raised the wrong way. You know how that goes, Zach. Maybe you don't, but you either figure out a way out of that kind of stuff or you go down with the ship. And I wasn't going to prison and I wasn't going to die. And I didn't feel like killing people anymore. I'm joking.
Yeah, I probably made the right decision. Otherwise, you probably want to be here, right?
Right. And I think that's one of the redeeming qualities of Satanism amongst what I found is that it gives people, the outcasts, the people, the outliers, the people who have been shunned in community, the people that don't fit in for whatever reason, for mental health issues, for whatever it is, it gives us something to cling to when we're having these moments of peril, these moments of indecision. It gives us something to cling to. And for me, like spirituality or religion to me is my artwork, creation. But my foundation seems to be Satanism. And as much as I want to say I'm not a Satanist, I don't fucking dig this shit. I don't like being nailed to the wall. I don't like a name put on me. I don't like a title. It seems that works as far as so it comes back. It comes back and haunts me, let's say, all the time. And I think that I remember Blanche saying this about someone, maybe myself, maybe Boyd, maybe some, but a lot of the members on the old days, she would like, the world's lucky that they have Satanism in their life, or they'd be killing people, or they'd be destroying things. And she would say that about a lot of her members. I don't want to say her members, but when Anton passed away, I dealt with Blanche a lot more than I dealt with Anton. Okay, I only dealt with Anton for a few years. And we were friendly, and like Carla would say, he loved me because I was like a no. I would say no to him. I was like, I'm not fucking doing that, guy. I didn't come in there as a fan. You know, I left a fan, but I came in there. I was just like an interview guy. Like I was just coming in to interview him and do business. And so I was like, yeah, big fucking deal. The person I was with was, everyone was shaking around me when they knew I was meeting Anton. They were like, oh my God. I was like, what in the fuck? Fuck, who gives a fuck? He's just another person. Now, when I met him, I found out he was a very special person. Very, very, he was magical. And I would not deny that. And I don't say that for any other reason than that's what I experienced. You know, he was cool.
Can you tell me a little bit about how the Church of Satan transitioned as an organization to Peter Gilmore in those days? Because there's some controversy, like if it was supposed to go to Carla, if Blanche gave it to Gilmore because Gilmore helped her financially. There's kind of some.
You got that right
Okay.
there. It seems to be that's the case. I wasn't involved in those dealings, but it does seem to be that Peter purchased his role in that respect. He purchased. Yes, the financial help Peter gave assured him the role. Now, I never heard Boyd Rice was going to take over the Church of Satan by anyone but Boyd Rice.
Okay.
That guy's a weird one. Because he's like he gets it. I beef with that motherfucker all the time. I'd love to see him. I would love to fucking punch him. I'm too old to punch people. Okay, I'm 55. I don't punch, but I'd love to have someone in the old. Fuck him. That's what I'm saying. But he argues like I did. He's like he'll go out and say he did the last interview with Anton LaVey, but he didn't. And I don't even know why he argues about that. I don't even know what the big deal is about that. It's something fun to say, but it's like, why are you arguing about that? It was like a mistake. It takes no talent. It was a mistake. Like, it was like, oops, I was the last one. You know, I got a lot of last interviews. I got the last interview with G.G. Allen. I got a lot of last interviews. Why is that? Because I've done 1,000 interviews. So I've done a lot of interviews. So you're going to get some last.
Yeah.
You know, but he argues about that. And even Blanche wrote this book, We Are Satanists. And in there, she says, I did the last interview with Anton, but Boyd does the better interview.
One of Carla's Christmas bashes up in San Francisco, a friend of mine, Thomas Leroy, and part of the sect of the Horn God, Thomas was given pictures by a photographer named Jake, who goes by the name Jake Block, who was around Anton LaVey back in the day. I guess he might have been a driver for Anton LaVey at one point, but anyway, he had these never before seen pictures that were undeveloped. And so my friend Thomas gave them to Carla at the Christmas batch, pictures of her father and stuff like that. So I got to talk about her briefly, but
Carla's a really fun person when she's fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I had to find me. Yeah. Anyway, Carla. Carla is Daddy's little girl. So hanging out with her, I sort of appalled that the church, Peter Gilmore and Blanche and all them didn't make her part of it somehow. But I could see how her and Blanche were at war. You know, she was Daddy's little girl. So you got to imagine she looked up to her father, and speaking with Carla's light is a reflection of Anton. You know, like I'm like, wow, that's you made that move just like Anton would. You said that just like Anton would. Of course you would. And so as far as representing Anton Satanism, she's the best representative. She grew up around that she saw the whole thing created in her. Like Xena didn't know Tony. She knew Anton. Anton had already stepped into that role. Carla knew Tony and then saw Anton created.
Very
so
cool.
she's very much like her father. Very much like her father. And she
looks a lot. She looks a lot like Anton too.
Right.
That's the first thing I thought. Her eyes is like, that looks just like Anton's daughter. You know, you could tell.
She does, and she's just like him. So to go study Satanism for myself, I was really happy that we became friends, because when it first happened, she called me, threatened me, I threatened her. We're going at it. We're going to go to war. Next thing you know, she's flying in and doing my witch's Sabbath for me, and we became great friends. And I was very lucky for that, because as far as studying that stuff, it was like, wow, this is like hanging out with Anton again. So I would talk to her about old days of Church of Satan, stuff like that, and like she answered the phone when she got off the bus from school, man. Like, so You know, she would talk about Kenneth Anger living there when she was there. She was in the Black House and watching that whole thing go on. And it was like funny. I was like, your father was an artist. And she goes, how do you figure? And I explained it to her. And I'm like, Carla, look at what you do. Where'd you learn how to do all these shows, these flyers, the art, the colors? And she goes, oh, Anton and his friends. And I go, right. Who lived there again? Kenneth Anger, an artist. Who was he? This is an artist. Everyone in the Church of Satan seemed to be an artist for the most part, or have some power. And so some sort of social power. And so, yeah, Carla's cool. That's all I'm saying.
What do you think the biggest contrast is between the Church of Satan with Anton LaVey and without Anton LaVey, and the Church of Satan presently?
Well, the socioeconomic thing. Peter represents a different class group, so the tone is different. You know, they look down on certain things, where Anton was able to phrase things in a way that was considerate of the working class. And I don't know if Peter has that in him. Peter uses very big words. So I feel when he does that kind of stuff, it has an air of insecurity. And Anton, the genius of Anton's Anton. Anton was born to do this. For some reason, it happened. No one can replicate what Anton did. Try as you may, say no one looks as sexy, no one does it as well, because it was like it's like Salvador Dali, Picasso. Certain people are just born to do what they're doing, or they let life pull them along, and they don't step into a role, they create it. So that the big difference is, Anton overshadows him always. Anton overshadows everyone still, which is remarkable to me. Like when I look at the Satanic Temple or Peter or anything, it's remarkable. As and then I just look at it within artist realms. Like certain artists are always going to overshadow their peers, their so-called peers, no matter if their peers are better or not, smarter or not. And the genius of Anton was he was able to boil down real complex things to a tweet, a sentence or two, and I don't think Peter can do that. I don't think many people can do that. That's a genius thing to be able to take a book and make it a sentence.
Right. Which, hence the Satanic Bible is boiled down, right? Pretty condensed.
That's what I'm saying. Easy to read. Easy to read for everyone.
Yeah, it is. I remember I couldn't afford it, so I was stealing them at Barnes and Noble bookstores, because I would read them, and then I'd steal many copies and I'd distribute them, like the Satanic Jehovah's Witness at school, at high school. Got expelled for that, but yeah, it is what it is.
I love that. Did you say you were a Jehovah's Witness?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I would steal the Satanic Bible and I would distribute them at school for free. People who were interested in passing them around, and I got expelled from it. I was like the Jehovah's Witness of Satanism.
Oh, okay, okay. That's hilarious.
Passing out pamphlets, but mine were Satanic Bibles. So
that's hilarious.
Wow, so that's cool, man. What else is in the book other than you have some interviews, and you have a lot of cool last interviews, and you also have a lot of inside information about the Satanic Temple. What else do you include in the book?
Let me go grab it real quick. Can we?
I got a monkey who juggles, so I'll bring him out while you're gone.
Who?
A monkey that juggles just to take up dead air. I'm joking.
You really have a monkey? Oh, okay. No.
It's a cool book. I got to flip through it when I met him in LA a couple weeks ago. Wow, so I'm happy. Trip on This is back, and we're going to try to get guests on, and try to do it like at least once every other week. So eventually we'll come up with some topics and to be generated, and with the ability for the live stream, I can bring people on. So anybody in the audience or in the comments here, I could send a link, and boom, they could come on to talk about whatever it is we were talking about. So that's going to be implicated in the up and coming shows.
All right, Zach. Thank you very much.
No problem.
First, I'm going to show you something cool. Right here. This is all backed up. This is Claudia Berdella's take. This is what I'm giving Claudia for helping me with the book. But this is the original Might is Right that I took. This is the Lumpanics edition. This is the one I worked off of.
Wow.
You can see how beat up it is.
Wow, that's what's that, from the 30s?
Well, no, it's from. It is. I have the old one. I collect that, but this is from Lumpanics.
Okay.
Oh God, it's 1984. But look at that.
Oh,
I'll show you this right here.
Oh, that's cool.
It says "Suck me, bags." Hey, everyone, stop! It was 84. Okay.
84.
But it's over. I wrote that over there, because I'm republishing. So I'm like going through this, going, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you can see the cross marks every time we type the chapter. So this is the one that I took that from, and this is the book that when you hear that 24-hour radio show, the real controversial one people talk about. This is from that. This is like from those moments. And I didn't think it was here, it has there's Doogie's artwork, Lucian's artwork.
Okay.
I didn't think this is a big deal, but Claudia, when they did Claudia does this Infernal Church. And then this was sent to me by Tom Metzger. And this is a Might is Right. They came out from the 14 Words movement, but real racist people. But they helped out. They helped out too. They did the afterword for my Might is Right. I know it's present day. It's hard to talk about that stuff. So, but that's what a lot of this book has in there is the explanation of that stuff. It has Peter's explanation of what Might is Right is. It has Anton's explanation about what Might is Right is. Everyone talks about it. Right here, there's a picture of me and Stanton. And then he did the forward. Here's when I write: I lie, I cheat, I steal, and I hurt others. I'm a Satanist. What did you expect? I should add, you also lie, cheat, steal, and hurt others. How could you not? It's the way of the world we exist in. Satanism isn't idealistic, it's realistic. Idealism is for religions, poets, politicians, and swindlers. Satanism is a philosophy that is fluid and erodes constructs. Satanism might shun the religious-minded, unless they are of use, of course. Seldom is there a we in Satanism, but there is when speaking for a philosophy in general terms. When I speak about Satanism, it is with authority, the authority earned and awarded to me by Dr. Anton LaVey, author of the Satanic Bible, and the creator of modern Satanism. We are certainly not a philosophy of joiners, no matter how much spin a rich kid and his satanic puppet put on the philosophy of Satanism. We are, however, a pleasure-seeking intellectual horde who struggles to understand the difference between personal power and the illusion that great magicians create of power, that most are tricked into climbing. Satanists do not climb power. Satanists do not seek power. Satanists do not fall for illusions of power. We are power. And we are the creators of the illusions of power. From politicians to soda pop, Satanists seem to be able to trick you at your own game again and again. The satanic philosophy is a mirror of the world in which we live. The Satanist sees the big picture in a universal Carl Sagan pale blue dot kind of way. There isn't a good or evil within Satanism, only is and do. Doogie is a Satanist, probably the only one involved with the Satanic Temple. Doogie is also considered a Judas goat. He is desperate and a danger because of that desperation. Spinning stories for money, not for progress. Working for a glorified law firm called the Satanic Temple, and as a tour guide for the Chamber of Commerce of the sleepy Halloween town of Salem, Massachusetts. I stopped liking Doug when he suggested we turn people against one another. To what end, I thought. I can only imagine, much like a child, Doogie is looking to see how far his power can go, and, with sadistic intent, angry at a world that took his eye. Satanism isn't a bully pulpit. Satanism isn't a tool for the bully or the politician. It's the Satanist that proclaims they are a wolf that should be treated as the dog they proclaim to be. Beware of those who only know tooth and claw. They are corrupt and of the past. Satanism is pleasure-seeking with an intellectual base. War is for the ignorant. Satanism is there to capture your imagination. Living out another's imagination is the antithesis of Satanism. When the Satanic Temple was created, we used the word religion because it's a word of authority. Remember that. If you're attracted to religion, you're probably into lording authority over others, or into having authority lorded over you. And the religious only have to agree with their chosen religion to be granted the mystical authority of a god or deity by that chosen religion. This kind of foolery is most attractive to the poor and downtrodden. Don't be fooled by the religious zealots who claim peace, love, and freedom as they spout their religious beliefs. Satanists will forever be the adversary to those who might want us to believe or to follow. Religion is where rules are given and thought goes to die. As religion dies a nasty death, Satanism is alive and well. We must enter the age of undoing individually and with thought, imagination, and intelligent actions. But of course, I could be lying. And there's my introduction to the book.
I like it. Sounds great.
Sounds great. I apologize if you didn't want that read, but I don't know why I even read it.
No, it sounded great. I actually encourage you to read more if you have some.
Well, I'll read the table of contents. The forwards by Stanton LaVey. I lied, cheat, I steal. That's mine. LaVey's authority. Our priest can do no wrong. That's a good one. I'll read that maybe. That's something Anton wrote. Going to Uncle Anton's house. It's what happened when I went to his house. The doctor is in. That's something Anton wrote for me. Or that's the interview, the last interview I did with Anton LaVey, I mean. And then Might is Right by Anton LaVey, and he wrote that for me about Might is Right. And then the next chapter is Might is Right. So the first chapter is LaVey, then Might is Right, A Match Made in Hell by Peter Gilmore, The Nuances of Hate by me, Aryan King. I don't know who wrote that, but there's, I have to look for that one. 50, I might as well do that now. What the fuck? Oh, that's something me and podcast host went back and forth. So there's a lot of transcripts of podcasts or interviews, stuff like that. Love that book, Sean Potter says. Good, Sean. The Nuances of Hate, Peter H. Gilmore interview. King of the Underground is something about me. Doug Mesner interviews Shane Bugbee. That's Doogie or Lucien Greaves interviews me. Pioneer Podcast, that's an article about me. Interview with me. Doogie defends Shane. Doug defending me. And there's this great piece in there where he goes back and forth defending Anton LaVey, Might is Right, and myself, and it all contradicts everything he talks about today. And it was from this Willie Nelson contest I entered a long time ago, where I did this video for something I forget what it's called now, some peace movement, some peace thing, give peace a chance or something like that. And I won an award, the Willie Nelson Award. And I got attacked because I was a Satanist. So everyone's like, he's a Nazi. How could you give him this award? He's all these, just Satanist. How could you give him this award? But Doug defended all this stuff back then. And the same stuff that he makes fun of today or harasses. Then the Shane goes to Harvard. It's an interview. It's an article about me going to Harvard, speaking at Harvard, working with them. Religion, Master and Slave Relationship. That's an article by me. Lucien Greaves, Part 2. There's a transcript of the Alphabet Show where we talk about eugenics. There's Radio Jihad. I forget what's in there. There's another back and forth with me and Doug while I'm at Harvard. Culture Vultures. That's where I talk about the Harvard people being culture vultures. Kevin, rich kids are always culture vultures. Then I put the receipts in there, a bunch of emails between me, Doug, and Kevin that proves them to be liars about things they've publicly said. Then there's my big involvement. The things that I really helped with was like the pink mass, stuff like that. And that's where things took off for everyone, with the pink mass. Conjuring Confusion by Peter Gilmore. That's an article he wrote. Then I have an uncut interview I did with Doug for Vice Magazine. Vice Magazine edited it, so I put the whole complete interview in there. There's a bunch of stuff about the Arkansas case. and how I testified against him. Then there's an article about Satanism by me, interview with Carla, interview with Stanton, Satanic Sins Interpreted. And yeah, look how big this fucking thing is.
Yeah, it's quite a big book, man. That's much of the collection you got.
Yeah, and I had Anton write the afterword.
Great, awesome. Who did the
I use
artwork?
AI. What?
Who did the artwork?
Nick, and it's hard to read his name. It's NIKGERNERT. Nick Gernert. I don't know how to say his name. I'd have to hear from him saying it. But he's on Instagram. His artwork's great, and I just fell in love with his artwork because it looks very 70-ish.
Yeah, I like it. I like the psychedelic looking.
Yeah, yeah, man. So I love that. Yeah. So this introduction, I had an AI write it for me, and this was like a year ago. So I think I like to think I'm the first person to do something like that, But I was like, write it. I'll just read the prompt. Anton LaVey, Modern Satanism speaks from beyond the grave with the help of an AI bot, as Anton predicted and would have loved. AI prompt: combine all versions of the book blurb on the exposing of the Satanic Temple into one blurb, and imagine it written as if Anton LaVey was speaking it. And then it goes on. Should I read that?
Sure. I'd like to hear it.
Okay. Sex, lie. I was reading it like Anton LaVey. Sex, lies, and useful idiots. The founding of the Satanic Temple. Their secret beginnings exposed. Is a bold and insightful expose as told by Shane Bugbee, the creative force behind the Satanic Temple, and personal friend of mine, Anton LaVey. As the last person to be ordained by me as a high-ranking priest and with authority to speak for me and my philosophy, Shane provides an unparalleled glimpse into the inner workings of the Satanic Temple. This book, my friends, is a must-read for those seeking to grasp the full extent of the power and influence of modern Satanism. As the creator of this philosophy and mentor to the author, Shane Bugbee, I can assure you that this book offers a unique and unparalleled look into the teachings that I imparted to my followers. Whether you are a seasoned devotee or simply seeking true occult knowledge, this book will provide you with the insights necessary to start your journey in the understanding of the intricacies of a philosophy I created, as well as the truth behind the origins of a group that is antithetical to Satanism, the Satanic Temple. So I implore you, read on and discover the truth about this often misunderstood religion. Anton LaVey, bot help to imagine.
That's cool.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was funny. So anyway, I
do
amuse myself, Zach.
Yeah, right. What I'll do is I'll drop the link in the video description so that'll be there for people to get the book if they want to purchase it.
Thank you. When are you gonna do a book?
Man, I can't write. I've tried.
You got bots.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a ghostwriter. I think I can talk a lot, but
You should have a ghostwriter. You have Zach. That's not. Don't put that on you. Like I can't write. I can't write either. I can't spell. I went into publishing without even I do Mike Lump publishing, and in the old days, I put out zines and I read back. I'm like, oh, they're atrocious, bro. Bad spelling, bad grammar, everything. And people would attack me all the time, but I felt the need to express myself that way. And I did. And I've been a publisher for 30 years, and I was a high school dropout. Okay. But I also found out within the publishing world, quite often you have ghostwriters. I've written for like Vice magazine. I've written for legitimate publications to get paid, and I can turn things in that are horrible, and an editor fixes them.
Oh, okay.
Someone will fix it.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and with AI, you could really help yourself. You can write something the way you want it and say, "Hey, can you help me fix this where it sounds a little better?" Write it with you ask a bot to write it with the combination of Hunter S. Thompson and Edgar Allan Poe voice, and it will.
Wow.
So Zach, you collected a ton of information. Someone's going to use it at some point. Someone's going to use these interviews you've done. You told me you did one of the first interviews. Look at that. Claudia's offering. I would help you make a book. Shane can confirm. I know how, and I'm able to. I helped make the one you're talking about. Right there, Zach. Claudia runs the Infernal Church on Discord. Claudia would be a great help. Those young people on that Discord would all help you. They'd chip in, they'd jump in and help you, and they're real cool. They're real cool, Zach. So I would suggest I don't know if you're toxic, toxic like I've been, but the one thing that helped me move along in my life and not go to prison was the ability to ask for help,
Gotcha.
which is real hard for men.
Very
So
cool. Thank you for the offer. Thank you.
yeah, Claudia's real cool, yo. I tell you, I would definitely co-sign for Claudia any day, for sure. So you have stuff, you're collecting these interviews, and you saw the Satanic Temple firsthand, and you were involved in the Church of Satan. Like you're involved in this from since you're 18, bro.
Right.
So you have insight that you can share, and it's reasonable, and not like a lot of these kids. Look at these people writing books on Satanism right now from the Satanic Temple. They don't even know what it is. They're fashionable. They just jumped in. They're like, oh, it's cool, and they're becoming the authorities. So if you don't write your book, you suffer the consequence of that, or what you've devoted a lot of your time in life goes away. It turns to dust. So you can be a brick in that, or you can be sand. I'd say be the brick.
What's interesting? I like this Satanism. Like Satanism back from like the 80s and 90s, the S in Satanism used to stand for sinister, in my opinion. Right? It had that kind of aura with the whole satanic panic. But now it's like the S stands for sissy. It's like it kind of, in a sense, it's just like.
I like what you're saying there, but the S always stood for Shane, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But I understand what you're saying. I don't mind I don't know. I don't mind. I think part of what Might is Right was missing was compassion or empathy, and that's a concept that I came up with as speaking with Doug, which is in those emails. And he went and ran and used it in his thing. But if you watch animals, they don't act as perverse as we do as humans. Humans are a really bad animal. We're really fucked up in the head. But eagles, I lived on the coast of Oregon for a while. I lived amongst wolves in Minnesota, where I'd watch wolves walk down the alley with deer heads. And to watch that kind of real predatory prey behavior firsthand, they are a symbiotic relationship. There's not a hate. And they don't overeat. They don't kill to kill. They kill to eat. Like there's something beautiful in it, much different than our existence. And there is the eagle does have like an empathy or a compassion for the salmon that it's about to swoop down on and kill and eat.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to suggest that Satanism has no room for compassion or anything, but like as far as like what I mean by sissy is like the whole blowing up LGBT thing. That's like basically covering like the Baphomet with rainbows, and like it seems like that gets like stage one now. When I look on like YouTube or something like that, it's like these LGBT movements and stuff like that that's blended Satanism into it, but yet there's really nothing satanic about this except for maybe self-expression, or I mean, I don't really get what's going on with that.
Okay, well, I to say in that community, I wouldn't pose it like I don't have a problem with the gay community at all. I think they're great, and I think they're actually at the forefront of free expression. But within Satanism, I do see a lot of posers. There's that queer satanic people, and you'd mentioned something in one of your videos about someone who gave up $50,000 to pay for that statue to get made, and I think you have something there. But the way you say it sounds racist or biased or sexist, But I do think you have something there because I had to witness that myself. And there is a conspiracy going on behind the scenes that is obvious to me, but it's not so obvious that I could put it forward without sounding paranoid. Same as how you were trying to put it forward. There's not a way to put it forward without sounding racist or paranoid or something like that. But I think you're onto something. And I think time will prove what you're saying to be true and what we're saying to be true.
Yeah, because the way I put it forward, it does look like, oh, look, he's this paranoid guy. He's like, oh, this is the Zion movement. It's like, no. It's like, really, this is what happened. Like, take it for what it is.
And I think I would love to get together with you off the air and talk to you more about that and put something together. Maybe we're able to connect some dots where I say, hey, I saw this. Hey, I sent you something about something. Said, hey, you ever hear of this group? Because they're tied in and they're real rich people. And so we might be able to put some of our evidence together and actually show something, like crowdsource something. And I would challenge us to be able to present it in a way to put it up on Reddit or even that infernal church to go, this is the evidence that Zach and I have, where we see a conspiracy going. Because, yeah, that queer satanic stuff, they are co-opting the word Satanism just to have a say, just to talk about things. But when you talk to them, they're not Satanists. Same with the Satanic Temple. They're a Christian organization. And that's what Claudia can talk more about that. Claudia has a lot of proof to that. When the Black Mass happened at Harvard, a lot of anarchists got involved, and I warned Doug about that. And at that time, I remember a Jesuit priest interviewing me and asked me a lot of questions about the Satanic Temple. And after that, a lot of weird stuff started happening. And so there's definitely, and now not a lot of the people that are listening aren't going to understand this or believe it because they live a mundane life. But there's something that should be obvious to it. You can't just go out in a society that has God in God we trust on their dollar bills and go, we're Satanists, we're anti-God, we're anti-religion, without some blowback, without someone pushing back. And there's a whole history of like COINTELPRO. There's a whole history of our government pushing back on counterculture movements like the Black Panthers, the Yippies, or Church of Satan stuff. And so it's not unrealistic, even though it sounds paranoid and unrealistic, that religious people of Jewish folks or Christians or anything like that would want to try to stifle Satanism or control it, because Satanism is something that erodes constructs, as I said in the introduction. And so we're looking to erode those things. We're looking to get rid of those control mechanisms and have people branch and be more animal, be more free.
Right.
We're trying, Satanism is about freeing humanity up to be the humanity that they are, not that someone wants them to be. And the people that want us to be something are going to fight back. And that's just human nature. That's power. That's control. And so they are going to fight back, and they are fighting back. And I've been run out of towns. I've taken hits. And one thing I can tell everyone out there that might talk shit about that stuff is that Anton LaVey, as much as he had a great time in his life and he always found a place of joy, he had a lot of pain because of what he did. Crowley had a lot of pain because of what he did. A lot of occultists they get beaten up. They get the shit kicked out of them by society because they're willing to go against society. And when you push, the universe pushes back. When you push, there's a pushback. It's just like the way it goes. And so, a lot of the old guard, the Church of Satan people that were public, have been beaten up or pushed back on. Boyd, all of us have had the shit kicked out of us. But we persevere, we push forward, we find creative ways around things. We slither around. We're like slippies, like Stanton would say, we're slippies. And that was the Manson family. They weren't hippies, they were slippies, And so, and that's why I say, like, Satanism isn't really a religion. It's a philosophy. Religion you could nail to the wall. And like Anton says, you can't nail a Satanist to the wall. And I really took to that within Satanism. That's where, like, I related to things. Was like, yeah, I really don't have I don't have a set. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I'm for what works at the moment. And so, I like things. I love things that I was a big Bernie Sanders fan, but I also I see things that Trump says, and I'm like, that makes sort of sense. And I see things he says, and I go, that makes no sense. But I see that with every politician. I'm not so like everything they say is great,
right.
But I do love AOC. I love a lot of. I'm a people person. I'm more of a socialist. I am a socialist. I want things. I want to fund art. I want to fund. I think housing's a human right. I think food's a human right. I think water's a human right. I think education's a human right. So I am on that side of things. But I can also be conservative as well.
Very cool. All right, Shane, I think we'll wrap this up, man. We got over the hour here. Thanks for having us on, or thanks for coming on. And I'm going to drop a link to your book and any other pertinent links that we can talk about, and I'll arrange that. So it'll be up there for everybody.
Hey, Zach, I really want to thank you for everything you've done throughout the years. I looking over your history, you've done a lot of work, and you may have also suffered some blowback from being a Satanist, or maybe not. I don't know. But I really appreciate your work, and I hope you continue to push forward on your podcast. It's really needed in a time of hucksters. And I don't even want to give them that name, hucksters. You know, these bullshit artists from the Satanic Temple. You're needed. And you do really great work, Zach. And I hope you do a book someday. And I hope you work with Claudia on getting some of your material out there. You know, and you know,
I appreciate that. That's a big compliment coming from you.
well, you did the work, dude. It's not. It's just I'm stating facts, and I appreciate your efforts, and I just encourage you to do more. And if you ever need help from me, I'm here for you, bro.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thanks for everybody tuning in. And this will be up probably within a matter of 20 or 30 minutes. It'll be processed.
I hope to hang out with you when I get to California, bro. Peace.
Absolutely. I'll be here.